Good morning and welcome back to my channel. My name is Stanislav. I am a physical therapist. I'm a future strength and conditioning coach, and I've also practiced judo for already 17 years. And today I'm going to answer your question, which will be, can you train with an injury? I created this workflow so that you can understand whether it's the case that you still train with a little bit of pain or whether you should see a doctor or you should change your training in a certain way. So, the first thing that you should ask, is there a suspect of a serious injury? Of course, you're not a doctor, you're likely not a physical therapist, but since you've practiced judo or since you understand your body, you can understand whether you have a serious injury or it's simply nothing really serious. Also, your sensei likely have seen what a real injury looks like and what are the signals, what are the red flags that you should see in order to understand whether you have a serious injury or not. Elevated pain is, of course, a signal. High swelling, sensitivity alteration, so you have a different feeling from one limb to another. Or you cannot really feel your limb as in the other way, so it could signal a nerve damage, for example, significant functional impairment, or other red flags or signals that you should look for. For example, heavy muscle tear. When you see a lot of purple in your muscle and you see excruciating pain there, it might be a muscle tear, so you should maybe see a doctor. It could be a fracture, for example, a nerve damage when you have, as I said, sensitivity alteration or heavy strength alteration. You cannot really lift your arm up. Then in these cases, when you suspect a possible red flag, a possible scenario in which you need to have specific medical attention, you have to go see a doctor. When? But if there isn't a suspect of a serious injury, so you haven't received not no traumatic, there is no traumatic scenario, so you simply started to feel like pain in your scapula or pain in your neck or pain in your back, let's say, for no specific reason, then you can actually still train but manage your training in a certain way. So if there is no suspect of a serious injury, what you should do is ask yourself, is the pain manageable? What does that mean? Well, if the pain has a low intensity, so let's say 3 out of 10 on a subjective scale, uh, the 1 to 10 scale of pain rating is basically from 1 to 10, how much pain do you have? Where 1 is simply a little bit of scratch and 10 is the worst pain imaginable. If the pain is around 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 2 out of 10, so something that bothers you a little, but it's not something excruciating, it's generally something very manageable. Also, another signal that say to you that the pain is actually manageable is that it improves with warming up. So when you start to move, when you start to sweat and increase your body temperature, it usually gets better. And when you start do mobility, your pain gets better. And also it doesn't get worse the next day. So if you have low level of pain, it improves with warming up, and when you wake up the next day you don't feel more pain than you had the day before, then the pain is manageable. If the pain is manageable, what you should do is doing graded activity. What do I mean by graded activity? Is simply doing your training but in a volume that will not flare up your symptoms. So, for example, I will tell you a personal anecdote. I had bilateral elbow tendinopathy. I would say a couple of years ago. I had an excruciating pain in my medial elbow, in both of my elbows, and I remember exactly that after precisely 40 minutes of judo training, my pain started to become excruciating. It wasn't possible for me doing more than 40 minutes of training. So what I was doing was doing 30 to 35 minutes of training, then I will stop. I would completely stop. So what you should do with graded activity, you take the amount of time or the amount of reps, the amount of volume, general volume that you can perform uh, before the pain arises, and you cut off 20% of it. Okay, follow me here. For example, if you're able to do, let's say, 10 sparring, if you can do 10 rolls, and at the 10th roll you start to feel that pain, instead of doing 10 rolls, you do 8. If you can do 5 instead of doing you can do only 5 randoris or rolls before the pain starts beginning, you do only 4. Okay, you get my idea. You start with graded activity, you already do what you're doing, but you do a little bit less, and then week to week you start to gradually increase the amount of activity that you should do, and you stopped, you start to gradually increase that. Okay, also look at the control chaos continuum. If doing randori or doing some kind of rolls or whatever activity or type of exercise you're doing that involves a lot of chaos, a lot of unpredictability, maybe think about reducing the amount of unpredictability. So train with more predictable stuff. Do a basic drilling or do a basic uchikomi that will allow you to control better your body and don't have these problems. And then gradually increase the amount of chaos that you will encounter in your training. Also, improving loading capacity of the injured zone. If I have problem in my shoulder, what should I do is probably increase the strength in my shoulder with pressing, pulling in a vertical direction, in a horizontal direction. Also, increasing the strength in my rotator cuff. Okay, could be another idea. So I have to improve the loading capacity of the injured zone, because when I'm doing strength training, my muscles will become stronger. My tissues, like the capsula, the ligaments, the tendons, will become much more thicker and will increase the amount of stability that my joint will have. So, doing strength training to improve loading capacity of the injured zone is another thing that you can do. If you need any help with performing a strength and conditioning program that can increase your ability to being resilient, you might DM me, write me a comment, or look at the description when you can have a one-on-one call with me, and we can look at the program that is specific for your situation. Stop advertising. And the fourth thing that you can do is actually don't make the injury worse. Don't do stupid stuff that you're not prepared for, because it will make you make the injury not manageable. Okay, it could make the injury worse, and if the injury get worse, you have to change all the things that you're doing. Then there is the other case when the pain is not manageable. When the pain is not manageable, so you cannot really, you have too much pain to start working with the specific joint. You have to adapt your training until the injury is healed. So basically your body starts healing and you do other stuff to not get worse. Some example or some ideas might have working with the non-injured limbs. When I had a problem in my shoulder, I fold. A guy throw me in Tayotoshi. I landed on my shoulder and had severe bone edema. I wasn't able to lift up my arm. I had problems on putting my clothes on. Okay, all of that stuff. So I was unable to work with my right hand. So I started to work with my non-injured limbs. So my legs and my left arm. When I was performing techniques in judo, I was just using the sleeve on my left arm, and I was using just my ashibasa. I was working on that, and for my strength and conditioning, I was doing dumbbell pressing with only the left hand. I was doing dumbbell rowing with my left hand. I was trying to do some squats and some RDLs or leg extensions, leg curls, in order to maintain the strength and hypertrophy in the other side of my legs. I also tried to kept running. It was a little bit uncomfortable for me, because you cannot really swing your arms when you're running, but I still tried to do as much stuff as I possibly could without getting my pain worse. So also, this is the second thing that you can do, is working on your general physical qualities. Let's say another example: you are you have problem to your knee, you cannot really do judo, you cannot really do any kind of grappling because you have a leg injury. Okay, cool, work on your upper body, work on your bench press, for example, work on your pulling strength with machines, work on leg strength, on the uninjured leg, do a leg extension with one leg, do leg curls with one leg, all of that stuff. You can do whatever you actually want if you really pay attention to what your body can do. The third thing would be focus on recovery. So aim to eat enough calories, eat good, eat tons of protein, go to sleep early, try not be aware of the kind amount of stress that you're receiving on a day-to-day basis. Do all of the stuff that will increase the recovery, decrease, sorry, the time that your body needs in order to recover. And keep the limbs still mobile with controlled pain. So do things that will not elicit your pain more than 2 or 3 out of 10. So let your injury heal, but still keep your arms, your body moving. If you can just move your arm up and down, just do that. Keep your injured side still mobile. I'm not saying you should do bench press with a dislocated shoulder, but I'm saying that you should keep moving yourself as much as you possibly can. And I get that it might sound confusing. I get that it might be difficult. And this is the reason why I'm telling you, hey, if you need some help with that, I'm here. I will give you a free consultation and we will look at your problem and see at what solutions we can find. So this is the answer to the question, can you train with an injury? If there is no serious injury, if there is no need for medical attention and the pain is manageable, you can still train by controlling the training variables. This is load management. Okay, this is the basic load management. How can you change the training variables in order to still move? The video is over. Thank you for watching. I hope that this was useful and helped you to understand how can you still train with an injury. If you appreciated the video, let me know in the comments. If you have any feedback, let me know in the comments. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Remember to aim upward as always.